Okay, hello. We are back for another grammar review. I'm going to set an alarm for this one to make sure I don't go over the allotted time. And we're going to talk now about le passé simple. And to be real honest with you, I'm turning that up. Okay, to be really honest with you, le passé simple is not, it's like the only tense in French that we use on a regular basis that I actually don't have memorized. Like most of these, I could not just form for you on my own. The reason being, passé simple is a literary past tense. And so if you're ever going to read books, newspapers, journals, whatever it is, you're going to need to know this in order to be able to read it. But most of the time, it's not how you are going to be talking or writing your own French. It's a literary past tense, so it really is just used in literature for reading. Okay, but even like kids' books and stuff are written in le passé simple. This is a tense that all French people would know. A lot of times, the things that we read in our class are made for language learners, and so a lot of them are just written in the plain passé composé. But we've read a few things in the passé simple before. And we're going to read more this coming semester. So, like French 5, for example, I know off the top of my head that Harry Potter is read or is written in Le Passé Simple. French 4, I know that we'll read Le Petit Prince, which is in Le Passé Simple, and maybe some other things here and there. You really can't expect to read French if you can't understand Le Passé Simple. Okay, but the reason I've never bothered to try to like learn how to form it off the top of my head is that like I'm not out there writing the next great French novel. Okay. So to me, it's enough that you're able to recognize it and you know that it means the exact same thing as passé composé does, the done and over with actions. What you had, what you did. Okay. And most of them I think are pretty easy to figure out. A lot of times the ER verbs will have these endings, and those are based on the infinitive taking off those last letters. So as long as you kind of recognize that these are the endings, and the RE and the IR verbs both have these endings, as long as you recognize those and you understand that the story has been being written in the past, you should be able to translate that in your head or read it just straight in French just fine. And then a lot of times they often appear in the IL or the ILS form anyway. So these are the ones you'll need to be most familiar with, because again, a lot of times you're reading about a character in a story or something like that. So you're narrating that person's life. You should familiarize yourself with the irregulars, even if it's just the ILS, the ILS and the IL form. Just so those are ones that you can pick out. A lot of times the irregular ones are based on the past participle, like from passé composé. And so if you reckon, like, for example, avoir, the past participle is EU, so you can probably deduce that EUT has to do with avoir. So in passé simple, it would be had. Not all of them are like that though. These, that actually is the past participle itself, DIT, but a lot of times they're just plain weird. This is the one, remember when we learned this, you have to remember that, and you don't say them really this way, but etra's foot and fair is fit. Etra is foot and fair is fit. However many times you need to say that to yourself to know that that's the word was, and that's the word did or made. A lot of times the one thing that's hard for me to tell is the difference between venir and voir. So venir, VINT, you see that a lot. It's came. Okay, so he came to do this or do that or whatever. And then neki is the past of nature. It's one I would just familiarize yourself with, because if you're reading somebody's biography, for example, it would be in the passé simple, and they would talk about when they were born and when they died. Moru, that looks enough, I think, like mourir, that you could probably figure out what that word is. And then again, if you're reading somebody's life story, it's like where they lived. So the vécu there, which is very similar to the past participle, just has a T on it. Okay, so a lot of times I think, other than really knowing etra's foot and fair's fit, so you can tell the difference, a lot of times I think you can just pick out what they mean. Okay, so again, I'm not going to form a bunch of these with you because that's not my strong suit. It's the one thing that I just don't know off the top of my head. So what I decided to do was just do your worksheet with you, because to me it makes more sense to just look at a bunch of these and to see and understand that it really does mean exactly the same thing as passé composé. In fact, it's honestly easier than passé composé once you get used to reading it, because there's no helping verb. It's just one word that means the same thing. Okay, so the pieces I have here for you are ones that we have done together already. We would have done these in French 3, but for the sake of time, I didn't really have a lot of time to revamp something new. So we're just going to go back through these one more time. So we're going to look at the Passe Simple, figure out what it is. I did bold them here, and then we'll put those into Passe Simple. I won't do all of each one with you. That way I can leave something for you to practice, but I just want to show you what's going on here. Okay? So, Jacques Cartier est l'un des grands explorateurs français. Il naquit à Saint-Malo en 1491. So again, reading about the life of Jacques Cartier, one of the great French explorers. Naquit, I just want you to recognize that that means was born, okay? So it's from the verb naître. If you were writing this on your own, you would have said il est né, and that means literally the exact same thing. So est né and naquit both mean was born, okay? And a lot of times you can just figure it out from the context of the sentence. He somethinged in Saint-Malo in 1491. Well, we're starting at the beginning of his life, so probably was born. So, dans sa jeunesse, il alla au Portugal, au Brésil, et probablement dans la région de Terre-Neuve. So, in his youth, he went. You can kind of tell like that looks like the verb aller, right? In the past, went. So, il alla and il est allé mean exactly the same thing, okay? Just passé composé has a helping verb, alla does not. En 1534, le roi de France lui donna la mission d'explorer les côtes de l'Amérique du Nord. So the King of France gave to him, we'll talk about the Louis pretty soon. So donna, you can probably tell that's the verb donner. Okay, again, it's the endings that we're looking at there. So donna means the exact same thing as a donner. Okay, no difference between donna and a donner. Okay, they both mean gave. La mission, okay. So Cartier et ses hommes partirent de Saint-Malo le 20 avril et arrivèrent dans la région de Gaspé au Canada le 25 juillet. So he got this mission, and Cartier and his men partir. Again, you can kind of see that ending right there, the IRENT from partir, partir. So it works just like, and again, these are all, they happen to all be être verbs so far, but sont partis. And again, we'd add the, see, like you have to worry about adding the E's and the S's to the être verbs, which one are Mrs. PRD Vandertramp être verbs. You don't have to worry about any of that in the passé simple. So this means left, and this means left. Okay, so left from Saint-Malo, April 20th, and arrivèrent, again, we're seeing the ending there to identify that as an ER verb, arriver, and that one also happens to be an être verb. Ils sont arrivés, and again, because it's an être verb, we'll put the S there too, but arrivèrent, the passé simple, and sont arrivés mean the same thing, okay? So hopefully that's making some sense. I'll leave these for you to do. I'll come down here a little bit more. Où elle fut reçue, where it being the expedition. Again, just remember that être is foot and faire is fit. So if I saw, again, it's pronounced fut, but if I saw that word, I would want to know that that is the verb être. So elle a été means the exact same thing as fut. Okay. Être foot and faire is fit. I'll let you finish the rest of those. I just wanted to show you. Notice that s'installèrent, they settled. The first French colonists settled in Canada, s'installèrent, and that's a reflexive verb. And remember that all reflexive verbs take être. So se sont installés means the exact same thing as s'installèrent. Okay, there's no difference in the meaning. They both mean settled. Okay. I think you guys can do the rest of that one on your own. I want to go down here because this is one I remember when you guys did this in French 3. It did not go well, okay? Just trying to pick out the verbs. And I've only got about 4 minutes left here, so I will do a couple of these with you. And it was, who are these people? Who is it? Qui est-ce? but you need to identify, we're going to highlight the passé simple verbs. So, il naquit en Espagne, où il étudiait la peinture. So, he was born in Spain, where he studied painting. À l'âge de 23 ans, il vint. Oh, can I highlight these real quick? I don't know. Il vint. Hopefully, you can tell that means venir. Okay, it's one of your forms of venir. And again, it just makes the sense in the sentence. He came to France, où il vécut. He lived some very difficult years. Il vécu. Again, that's one of the weird ones you'll just want to familiarize yourself with. Okay. And I'm not, because I can't do this on my own, I would never ask you to do this on your own either. Like if I were writing something in the past tense, I would write it in passé composé. Okay, if I were talking, I would speak in passé composé. But you're going to see this in all real French work written for native speakers that you read. Okay. He lived some difficult years. Il inventa, there's a regular ER verb, invented, un nouveau style, et bientôt il devint. Okay, that's, hopefully you can recognize that that's devenir. So he became, il devint, le plus grand artiste de son époque. He became the biggest artist of his time period. So qui est? Who is it? I'm guessing that's Picasso, right? Born in Spain, but came to France. Okay, I'm going to try to do one more with you in the time remaining. So, cette princesse naquit en Autriche. So naquit, again, just one. If you're ever reading a biography, you're going to see a lot of that word, was born. À l'âge de 15 ans, elle vint en France. There's another one. We saw this one up here too. She came to France pour épouser le futur roi d'Espagne. Or, pardon, le futur roi de France. So épouser is a verb, right? But it's in the infinitive form. It's in the infinitive form because anytime after the word pour, you use the infinitive. That can't be changed. So this is not passé simple. Pour usually means for, F-O-R. But when it is followed by a verb, it oftentimes takes on the meaning of in order to. So pour épouser, because for to marry doesn't make much sense, but in order to marry the future king in France. Elle eut une fin tragique. She had, again, hopefully recognizing that EU looks like it came from the verb avoir. So in passé simple, she had a tragic end. Elle mourut. She died. Elle mourut. En effet, sur l'échafaud français pendant la Révolution française. Qui est? Who is it? And of course, that would be Marie Antoinette. Okay. I think I have just enough time to do one more with you, so I'm going to do so. Ce génie militaire, naquit, there's that same word again, recognizing was born in the passé simple. Again, the same meaning as a né, okay? But, passé simple, why say two words when you can say one? Dans une île située à 150 km de la France continentale, il fut, gotta know that etrus foot and ferris fit, okay? So that's was. Did I highlight that? I guess so. Il fut nommé. Okay, so named is a verb. You can name somebody something. Okay, that is a verb. But here, fut is the one that's in passé composé, and this is just named, not in the passé composé, or not in the passé simple, rather. We're just using a past participle there. That's it. So he was named général, à l'âge de 24 ans, et il participa. See how it keeps wanting me to change it to present tense? But because usually when you write about people, even in history, a lot of times you can use the present tense for that. So he participated. So the A ending in passé simple is like the ED ending in English, or like the accented E ending in passé composé. Okay, so there's my timer, so I have less than a minute left. So I'm going to finish this one up real quick. Participa aux grandes campagnes de la Révolution française. Il devint, he became, empereur en 1804, et il conquit, those are the endings for IR verbs, conquered, militairement le reste de l'Europe. Il mourut, again recognizing that word, died, same thing as est mort, en exil en 1821. Qui est? And I'll let you figure that one out. Okay? So you're going to finish up those few, oh, there's more than four. Those few there, have me check that. I just really want to make sure that this is making some sense. Just kind of study the endings, and that's all I'll ever ask you to do. When I test you on this, I'll just ask you to either pick out the word with the infinitive or to translate it the passé composé because it means the same thing. I will not ask you, I will never ask you to produce the passé simple. I just want you to be able to read it. Okay, so that concludes this video on le passé simple.